Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. His brother Raya want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashim Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Another strong, all the mighty brothers that go out there and labor and byways, making their body living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uproars, right there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers, you understand, that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, doing everything they can do to magnify the Most High. Right, another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf in this thing that actually sincerely reverence their husbands, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers on fire for the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf that are not married as of yet, but building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, doing everything they could do, right, to magnify the Most High in the ministry. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty children in this thing, man. Right, abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. And last but not least, another strong shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, reading, praying, fasting, magnifying the Most High, right, in the ministry, man. So all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Mashiach, Malak Yahushua, right, for putting brothers in this truth, for giving brothers and sisters an opportunity, right, away from this world, right, to really zone in on the spirit and power of the Most High, man. Because we all could be lost, right? Brothers were drug dealers, right? Certain brothers were out there in gangs, right? Sisters were out there in the clubs, right? Everybody was just moving in their own spirit, their own lust. They highly neglected the laws of God. They cared nothing about the ministry, the Most High's beloved Son, your nation. So all praises, honor, and due again a third time and a seventh time in infinity, man, 1,000 times to our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Right? This is going to be an in-depth breakdown on Pentecost, right? The fruits of the Spirit in-depth breakdown, right? And I'm going to share my screen, right? And give me a strong con if you can see the screen, right? Give me a strong con, right? If you can see the screen, right? We're going to dive straight into it through the Spirit. Right now, Pentecost is extremely important. You could sum up Pentecost and go to Leviticus, 23, verse 10 all the way down, verse 15 all the way down. You can dive into the crops, the law. You understand in Leviticus, the 18th chapter, verse 21 all the way down. Deuteronomy, the 14th chapter. You can go inside of what these things mean on a physical context level, but the spirit is most definitely what needs to be examined. A lot of people don't examine their spirit. A lot of people don't care to examine their spirit. They're so hemmed up in everyday lust, the cares of this world. They care nothing about the fruits of the spirit. I'm gonna get this quick precept. This Second Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. It says, examine yourself, whether you be in the faith. Now, what does it mean, examine yourself, whether you be in the faith? So a lot of people, they don't examine themselves because once you look in the mirror, you know what you see? You see a murderer. You see somebody that hates your brother. You see slothfulness. You see vanity. You see a drunkard. Right? Let me get a quick picture. See, when a lot of people they hold themselves accountable, they don't like what they see. They see a drunkard. They see somebody that rages. They really see a wild beast, an animal. Somebody that hates the work of the Most High. Somebody that hates their wife. Somebody that hates their husband. Somebody that's always complaining, never thankful. Somebody that doesn't care to congregate. Somebody that's just not really in this faith, man. And you really got to look in the mirror sometimes. You have to cut yourself, man. Get off of this cloud that a lot of brothers ride on, feeling like they do no evil. They do no wrong. There's nothing to examine. There's nothing to look at. I'm perfect in the eyes of the Most High. And whatever little minute thing I need to work on, I could get to it. It's not that big of a deal. That's a demon. That's nothing more than a spirit from the third heaven sent down to make you delusional, overtake your mind, throw you in a situation to where it overthrows you, right? The Lord said, let me read that again. Examine yourselves, whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves, man. You have to prove yourself. What does it mean, prove? Prove is an old ancient way, right? It's like a blacksmith, right? He'll prove that steel. He'll prove that iron. He'll beat it and beat it and beat it, man, till it either cracks or shapes into whatever weapon that he's forming it. Could be an axe, right? Could be a sword, right? It could be some type of thing you put in your sheath and you pull it out. You have to prove yourself. Proving yourself comes with fire. It comes with experiences. It comes with heartbreak, man. It comes with troubles. It comes with things that aren't comfortable when you actually prove yourself, man. Let me get that real fast. Blacksmith. See, a blacksmith, when he proves that steel, that's uncomfortable. Things get heated up, man. And things are going to get heated up in your life once you start to examine yourself. Because you have a mentality you do no wrong. You're always pointing the finger. It's always somebody else. This is the definition of proving the steel, proving the iron, proving the gold. The Lord said, prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves? We don't know what makes you angry, what makes you sad. You know, the same spirits you dealt with is the same exact spirits you dealt with a year ago, man. You're still in the same mentality you were 3 years ago. What, you don't know yourself? You know what you like to eat. You know what time you get sleepy. You know what type of liquor you like. You know what type of preference of women, right, you like. You like what you want to do for a living. You know what food, what vegetable, what fruit. You know exactly what makes your boat float, man. And everything in the bells and whistles of it. I like this ice cream and this icing. I don't like this type of brand. I like this type of brand. I like wearing cotton instead of this because it itches my skin. The Lord said, know ye not your own selves. How that Yahushua is in you, except ye be reprobates. Meaning the only way that the Lord isn't going to be in you is if you're a reprobate. The definition of a reprobate is somebody that withdraws from an action. They're double-minded. I'm going to read today. But something comes up. I'm getting ready to pray. I get distracted. I'm about to go on a fast. I can't because my daughter needs this. My parents just came into town. I have work in the morning. It's very serious. I have to come before my boss. All of these are excuses and a reprobate mentality of somebody that doesn't want to change, man. Coming before the Lord, you have to understand how deep this is and what this thing is truly about. Right? Let's go to the law. I want to touch briefly on the law before we dive into it, man. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14. Right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 21. Right, Salakia? Let me get this quick. I'm going to start at 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all thy increase of thy seed. Now, on a deeper level, when you look at the truth and you look at who begot you and you look at a seed spiritually, the seed is what? Is you. You're the seed, man. Who planted you? Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. He planted you in the garden. Let me get this quick precept. It's the book of Mark, chapter 4, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 3. Hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow, right? Yahushua. And it came to pass, as he sowed, some fell by the wayside. Who was the some? The seeds. They fell by the wayside. Everything that's planted doesn't take root. You've taken root, though. The Most High have dealt with you. You've had an opportunity to go through the drought. You had an opportunity to go through the different seasons. You had an opportunity for the sun to smitten down on you, the waters from above, which is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and for you to take root in this truth. Everybody doesn't take root in this truth, man. Your uncle didn't take root. Your mother didn't take root, man. A lot of your friends didn't take root. Understanding how spiritual it is for the Lord to sow you and how some fell by the wayside and the fowls of the air came and devoured it. And some fell on stony ground where it had not much earth, right? Meaning you weren't rooted in this truth. And immediately it sprang up because it had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, it was scorched, because it had no root, it withered away. And some fell among thorns, right? And the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no fruit. That's your friends. That's holidays. That's temptations. These are things that are around you that yoke you, choke you, and destroy you from yielding up any fruit. And other fell on good ground. Who is the good ground? The elect. A lot of brothers and sisters on this live, man, you fell on good ground. But that's just the beginning of it. See, a lot of people think just because you're in this truth or you fell on good ground, you're saved. The Most High is dealing with me forevermore. I can never be rooted out. I can never be plucked from my branches of the tree. I can never suffer a drought. These are other things once you pass a stage. Just like when the Most High delivered us out of Egypt, what do we have to do? We have to go through the wilderness. This is spiritual, the Pentecost, and man being trees, man being a plant, man being fruit. The Most High having a what? A vineyard. He's the husbandman. And how you treat the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua and how you move in it is going to dictate how you flourish in this truth, man. A lot of people are stagnant. A lot of people are content with the things that they have. They don't want more. See, the elect is always going to cry inside until the Lord redeems them. What's being redeemed on a deeper level? Being planted up, right, and taken. Like the Lord said, he went into his garden to gather his lilies that were planted in the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 6. And others fell on good ground and did yield fruit and sprang an increase and brought forth some 30, some 60, and some 100-fold. I mean, a lot of men, when they came into this truth, they spiraled out of control, man. They start reading. Brothers start to be scribes, recorders, historians, prophets, evangelists. Brothers are now traveling, they're apostles. The Most High start dealing with men's spirits and souls, and they shot up with an increase out of nowhere, man. You know what happened like that? Out of nowhere, at the beginning, when the Lord created the heavens and the earth, and the Lord created the abundance of fruit and the abundance of plants and trees that sprouted up out of nowhere abundantly, right? That happened in the beginning. That's the early and then the latter rain on a spiritual level. And I wanted to kind of touch on that right before I get this other quick precept, right? How the Most High did that, man. That was a miracle, right? Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the mighty book of Second Esdras. Let's go to Second Esdras chapter 6. All right. And I want to start at verse, let me see what I want. Number 44. It's talking about the creation in the beginning. This is references Genesis. For immediately there was great and innumerable fruit. So what did the Lord do in the beginning? He spurred up innumerable great fruit. This is spiritual. You have the beginning, the early, and you have the latter rain. It says, and many and diverse, right, pleasures for taste, and flowers of unchangeable colors, and odors of wonderful smells. And this was done the third day. Lord said these things were done. And this is spiritual when you look at it, right? And man has the image and move in the same type of spirit. Man has to have unchangeable colors, wonderful odors. Man has to sprawl up just like the elect did, right? Some 30, some 60, and some 100-fold. This is the book of Deuteronomy 14 and 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all thy increase. What is your increase spiritually? The things the Most High gave you, man. He gave you wisdom. He gave you a wife. He gave you children. All of these things are to be given, you understand, back to the Lord with some type of increase. Well, how can I do that? How is that possible? Right? It says, thou shalt truly tithe all the increase, right, of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. So as we're in this truth, in the things the Most High is giving you, right, all the opportunities, your job, right, the understanding, giving you a congregation, don't overlook all the things the Lord has given you, man. Take the time and really think about it, man. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which ye shall choose to place his name there. Right, the tithe of thy corn, and the corn represents a blessing on a spiritual level. Right, that's what corn is. Corn is a blessing. Wine, you understand, goes into prophecy, right, and or the new understanding of revelation of the prophets. Like when the Lord cut off all of the wine, he cut off all of the oil, he cut off all of the corn, right? When you read the book of Joel, the first chapter, that's spiritual. The Lord said, how will you husbandmen? It says, and thy oil, right, which is wisdom, and the firstlings of thy herds and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God, man. Right, let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the book of Galatians, right? Because again, man is planted in this truth, right? Let's go to Galatians chapter 5, right? I'm going to get another quick precept in Galatians, the 3rd chapter. That seed that you've been planted in, right? You have two different types of seeds. I know I'm thinking of a lot of precepts and a lot of, things I'm moving through the spirit. I don't really have anything written down. Let me go to 2nd Ezra chapter 9. Let me get this quick precept. It's 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 31. It says, for behold, I sow my law in you. Now the law is perfect, right? But man is corruptible. Man falls. And as you work in the law and do the works of the law, you understand the fruit that you could bring forth can only be so much, man. You're going to fall short. You're going to think an evil thought. You're going to eventually be unclean, right? Your house may be out of order. All of these different things that the Lord told you to do, right? And you may fall short, man. Brothers work on a Shabbat, the sun going down, you almost clocking out. As soon as the sun go down, 12 minutes later, you clocking out. You're going to fall short. So the fruit that you can really bring forth in the law can't sustain the Most High on a deeper level. It says, for behold, I sow my law in you, right? And it shall bring fruit in you. And it did bring forth fruit. Brothers have neglected their old ways, man. Brothers are no longer gangbangers, murderers, right? Drunkards, brothers that smoke weed, shoot dice, and mimic all the type of, what do they call them? Stereotypes. And ye shall be honored in it forever. But our fathers, which received the law, kept it not. That's why the Lord calls us a corruptible seed so many times. It's deeper than that. He planted us to keep the law, but we didn't. That's why we're reborn again through the seed of Yahweh Shah. We're begotten through Yahweh Shah. Like, let me get this quick precept. Matter of fact, let me go to Galatians chapter 3. This is Galatians chapter 3 in verse 16. Now to Abraham and to his seed were the promises made, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He saith not to seeds as of many, but as of one, right? Because you have Abraham, you have Isaac, and that seed was Jacob. And to thy seed, which is Yahweh Shai. Now, Yahweh Shai doesn't physically have a seed. Yahweh Shai doesn't physically have children. What it's saying is a lot of men, they, are rooted in the law. It's like the Pharisees. They bring forth their own fruit, their own righteousness. But where's the faith? Where's the fruits of the spirit? Where's the things that Yahweh Shai has instilled and taught? A lot of men don't yield that, man. They only yield forth their own righteousness, or yield forth the incorruptible, barren amount of fruit through you breaking the laws. It says, and to thy seed, which is Yahweh Shai. Why? Because we're born again. And being born again through the spirit, we have to understand what that actually means. Let's go to the mighty book of James. All right, this is James chapter 1, verse 18. Of his own will begat he us with the word of truth. So if you're begotten, what are you begotten with? To be begotten means to be what? Have a progenitor, have a father, come out of the loins of. And we come out of Yahweh Shah. That's what we're born again in the likeness of. In the death of his resurrection, you understand, raised up, immortal through the spirit, if we keep these commandments in the faith of Yahweh Shah. Right? It says, of his own will begot he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits, right, of his creatures, man. So what it means, first fruits and a seed, it's all spiritual. A lot of men are still taking on the mentality of their own in the flesh. Let's go to the book, right, of Galatians, right, chapter 5, the mighty book of Galatians. This is Galatians chapter 5, and I'm going to start at verse number 22. Matter of fact, I'm going to start at, this whole thing is fire. And two, on a deeper level, on a contextual level, the fruits of the spirit, yes, is joy, all of these different things, which you should take on as characteristics in your spirit. But it's also in context talking about the law and the spirit of Yahweh Shah. And a lot of men need to understand that as we break down the fruits of the spirit. It says, verse 16, this I say then, walk in the spirit. What does it mean, walk in the spirit? Walk in the liberty of Yahweh Shah. Walk in the grace of Yahweh Shah. Walk in understanding that he set you free through bondage of the flesh. Walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. See, the flesh is bondage, and men were lusting, right, to fulfill their own righteousness. So Paul is getting on the circumcision, right? When you read the book of Romans, right? When you're touching on Galatians, right? The 3rd chapter, they were trying to put men in bondage. So understanding this on a contextual level, for the flesh lusteth against the spirit. You have two things going on. You have a war going on. You're always fighting against that old man. You're fighting against the mentalities, lust, women, notoriety, admirations, your own things that you want in this world, man, your goals, your job, free time, sleep. You're always in a warlike mentality going back and forth. It says, in the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. That's the same thing Paul said in Romans chapter 7, verse 17, all the way down. He cannot do the things that he would. But if ye be led of the spirit, ye are not under the law. So that's not saying that you don't have to keep the law anymore, but the bondage that the law brings forth, corruption, the things that bound you to death, you're no longer under if you're led of the spirit. Because if you're led under the law, these are the type of mentalities you bring forth. Not as if you keep the law, but the law brings forth what? Bondage. Bondage brings forth what? Sin and death. It says, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery. And there's a lot of adultery going on in Israel, man. A lot of sneaking into brothers' tents, a lot of, speaking to brothers' wives. Brothers have, too much access to your woman. Sisters are always flirting and talking to other married sisters' husbands. Fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. All of these things manifest of the flesh: idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulation, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murderers, drunkens, railers, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have told you in time past. They which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. So what is this talking about, man? You have a lot of people that, are presenting themselves or will present themselves before the Lord with these type of fruits, man. Because remember, the law brings forth fruit. And when you break it, you're bringing forth corruptible fruit before the Lord, a corruptible sacrifice. If you don't have the fruits of the spirit, which is Yahweh Shai. Because you have a corruptible vine, which is of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And then you have the vine that's on Yahweh Shai. Let me get that real fast before I dive into that. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 5. Brothers have to understand the fruits of the spirit and the law and what Paul is really talking about, man. Paul is extremely deep. It's not just necessarily on one contextual level, just saying to be happy and joyful, man. It's the book of Galatians, Salakia, Isaiah, chapter 5, in verse number 1. Now I will sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved have a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, talking about Jerusalem, right? The vineyard is Judah, right? He had fenced it and gathered out stones thereof and planted it with the choice vine, right? Judah, and built a tower in the midst of it, right? And also made a wine press therein, and looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. Wild, wicked grapes, adulterers, murderers, drunkards, people that rob up seditions, all these different things through the lust of the flesh, you brought forth, man. Before Yahweh Shai came on the scene, we were always lacking. We were always going off. We were always falling short. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 15, and verse number 1. See, we were wild grapes at one point in time. until we stayed on the true vine, man. We can't sustain ourselves. See, the vine was Judah, but the true vine is Yahweh Shah. This is the book of John, chapter 15, in verse number 2. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth, that it bring forth more fruit. And ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself. What is that talking about, man? It's talking about you. You can't do nothing by yourself, man. You think a child can do anything by themselves? They don't pay rent. They don't pay bills. They don't know how to wash clothes. They have no understanding how to work a vacuum cleaner. They don't know how to cook. They have no idea what to type in on the oven as far as heating it up. That's how we are in the spirit, man. We're dependent on Yahweh Shah. And through your own righteousness, your own zeal, your own lust, your own wickedness, you bringing forth wild grapes on the vine. Unless you abide in the true vine and move in the spirit of Yahweh Shah, you could never flourish, man. Stop kidding yourself just because you got a beard on your face. Stop kidding yourself just because you cook for your husband a couple times, man. Stop kidding yourself because you go to camp. You know how many men that have labored, created seditions and rivals, right? Like Judas, man, like Thaddeus, in the taxation of wars in the time of Acts, man. Those men led men to destruction. Just because you have an army doesn't mean anything. These things aren't impressive. So don't think that just because you have fringes or you have a camp that you can't be bringing forth wild grapes. It says, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abide in the vine. No man can, Salakia, no more can ye except ye abide in me. It's the point. I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. So you know who's really in Yahweh Shah, man. You know who's in the antics. When I say the antics, I mean a bunch of debates. Just thousands of meaningless debates, right? Thousands of meaningless kiss the boot videos, thousands of meaningless uh wars and making videos about brothers for no apparent reason, showing strife. It's one of the 6 things the Lord hates, man. Discord amongst brethren. People that are doing things in this truth that have nothing to do with the kingdom of heaven, man. That have nothing to do with the commandments. Have nothing to do with letting your light so shine amongst men and glorifying Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah and lifting up our King Yahweh Shah, man. These things have nothing to do with fruit. At the end of the day, are you abiding on the vine? What are you going to do? Because Yahweh Shah is the high priest. There's no more Levitical priesthood on a carnal level under Aaronic priesthood for the sons of Aaron. And you bring forth the sons of Aaron, and they're sitting in their suburbs. I believe it's 49, right? See if I can pull that up. Yeah, 48, right? Sitting up in there in the 48 suburbs, right? Around Judah. No, this isn't the ancient world, man. Go throughout the suburbs, all of the 40 something suburbs, and you give all your fruit, man. You give all your corn. And they take it to the bomb floor and take it to the threshing, man. This is not the ancient world. Meaning all year round, you've been planted, you've been rooted, you've been in this truth. You're supposed to be reading, praying, fasting, giving alms, being diligent, doing everything you could do as a man and woman of the Lord. What are you going to bring Yahweh Shai when it's all said and done? Because this is the fruit that you're going to have to bring the Lord, man. Right? This is the fruit you're going to have to bring the Lord. And if you're bringing a little bit fruit toward him, no fruit at all, you barely care, you're not in the spirit, you're not moving in the fruit to the spirit, the Lord is going to destroy you. It says envious, murders, drunkards, railings, and such of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. So you got to really check what type of fruit you bringing forth. Let's get a quick precept. Let's go to Psalms, right? Let's go to the mighty book, right, of Psalms, chapter 109, and verse number 17. And it reads, as he loved cursing, so let it come into him. So you got to really check yourself, man. All you brothers with, marriages, households, families, grudges, and different things like that. You love cursing, the Lord gonna have that coming to you. Just the fruit you bringing forth, man. Murmurings, as he delighteth not in blessing, so let it be far from him. He don't care about blessing other people, man. He don't care about arms. These are the fruits of the spirit, man. Fruits of the spirit isn't just, oh, thank you. The water, kind sir, the water. Oh, you go, I'll open the door for you. No, Ak, you got it. No, Ak, you got it. No, Ak, you got it. Right? He's trying to salute a brother who fist could go the farthest down to the ground, man. All this carnal wickedness and folly, that has nothing to do with anything, man. Right? Pushing that button so that you don't jaywalk so you can help the old lady across the road. That's not the fruits of the spirit. It said, as he clotheth himself with cursing. See, a lot of people, they think they're righteous, but you're just clothed with deceit. You're clothed with malice, envy, hatred, backbitings, all things that are against Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. The Lord said, as he clothed himself with cursings, like as with a garment, man. You know when you wear a rough garment to deceive? That's a lot of you brothers in this truth. So let it come into his bowels like water and like oil, right, into his bones. It says, let it be unto him as a garment which covereth him, huh? So you have the garment of the Most High, or you have the garment of deceit, the garment of witchcraft. You know what that garment is? Wolf clothing. You get either put on the sheep, meek and lowly, humble in the spirit, being patient, man. Patient, ready to hear, not ready to blurt out, ready to be angry, ready to be wrathful. These things bring about sin and death. The fruit that were already sown, with a seed rather that were already sown in the law, man. So when we break these things, what fruit is bringing forth? Or it could be sown in the spirit to take on the image of Yahweh Shai. It's really what the fruits of the spirit is talking about on a deeper level. It says, let it be unto him as the garment which covereth them, and for a girdle with he is girded continually. What does that mean? Meaning he doesn't change. What is a girdle supposed to do? A girdle is supposed to keep up your garment, that it doesn't fall, doesn't blow in the wind, and that you're able to subdue and keep the things that you have on. But if you're girdled continually with wickedness, witchcraft, and hatred and railing, the Most High is not dealing with that, man. Let me get a quick precept. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 107. And let's start at verse number 33. He turneth rivers into a wilderness. What does that mean? I mean, he has turned a brother that was once on fire, once diligent, once in the spirit, to a wilderness, man. And a lot of brothers are falling out the truth at a vast rate, extremely slowly, man. They're giving themselves over to work, giving themselves over to things of this flesh. They're not staying in the spirit. The Lord said, he turneth rivers into a wilderness. That's scary, man. You see certain elders lose their glow, lose the oil. Camp leaders losing their oil, man. What the hell is going on with Israel? He turneth rivers into a wilderness, and the waters spring into dry ground, man. How was once, let me see, how did you once look like this in the spirit, man? Full of life, fertile ground, right? Easy to plant a seed, easy for water to get down, easy for the sun to give you the nutrients, the vitamin D, and the things that you need to grow as a plant. But the Lord said, look, he turneth that upside down, man. It's an easy thing for the Most High to snatch it away from you. It's an easy thing to lose the spirit, man. It can literally happen overnight. One false decision, picking up that weed, answering that phone, not repenting, knowing what to do in your conscience, but choosing the lust of the flesh. It says, and the water sprang into dry ground, a fruitful land into barrenness, man. And what was that fruitful land? See, fruitful land is Israel, because the Lord has planted us amongst all of the hills and the valleys, you understand, in the mountains. But what did we become? A parched ground where there's no water, there's no life, and no can't we grow. It says, and a fruitful land into barrenness for the wickedness of them that dwell therein. So what makes the land barren? What has men not to be growing in the spirit, man? Your wickedness. Your wickedness is causing you not to grow, man. And you can look at brothers. You don't have to interview them. You don't have to talk to them. You can literally watch from afar and see who's on fire, man. You can tell. I mean, if you're a spiritual man, he's that a spiritual, discerneth all things. You can look at a brother, man. He desires to teach. He's more open with his conversation. He's not trying to hide anything. Nothing offends him like it was somebody out the spirit. Hey, I had a good week. I just read the book of Esther. I did this. Brother bragging, man. Always bragging. Because you got demons on you, man. See, a man in the spirit would have been like, all praise to the Most High. I read the book of Judith. Iron sharpeneth iron. You will always be on fire, sharpening, getting strong and strong. Somebody out the spirit always have something bad to say, isolating themselves. It says, for the wickedness of them that dwell therein, he turneth the wilderness into a standing water. So also the Lord can reverse you in the spirit that you're in now. So a lot of people have a parched ground, dry ground. And this is your spirit right now, man. You gave up. You're not good enough. You know what that is? It's depression. It's sorrow. It's demons. That's all it is, man. If anybody ain't going to tell you, I'm going to tell you, man. Everybody's been here before. You can't grow. You're stagnant. You're not bringing forth any fruit, but the mercy of Yahweh has and deals with you, man. It says, he turneth the wilderness into standing water and dry ground into water springs. Man, the Lord could do that, man. So, I mean, even though you may feel like, well, Pentecost is right around the corner, I haven't been bringing forth no fruit. Now's the time to fast. Now's the time to pray. Now's the time to go harder in the spirit, man. Now it's time to do everything you can through the spirit, man, to go harder. It says, and there he maketh the hungry to dwell, that they may appear a city for habitation. Check this out. And sow the fields and plant vineyards, which may yield fruits of increase. What does the Lord do, man? He sows the fields. Again, the soul is the understanding, and it's you. You're sown in these fields, man. It says he plants vineyards. The Most High is the husbandman. That's John chapter 15 and verse 1, which may yield fruits increase. So that's why the Lord is doing this, not for fun, man. He's putting every brother in the opportunity to continue to yield so that you can enter and increase. Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 141. Psalm chapter 141 in verse number 5, right? And it reads, let the righteous smite me. I mean, it is good for somebody to get on you, man, right? Stop being that brother easily offended. Can't never get over something because it's always what they call it, something's always bugging you. It's always don't go there, right? That don't, I told you don't, and then you explode. You have no rule over your spirit, man. See, a man that can't rule over his spirit isn't a man at all. A woman that can't rule over her spirit isn't a woman at all, man. There were wild beasts that act off of instincts. See, you drop something in a room and a beast, it'll scatter. A beast will climb up a tree. A beast will run and skittle out in the middle of the road and get hit by a car, man. But a man of prudence, of patience, he'll hear the matter, he'll examine it, He'll lay at the heart. He'll walk away. He'll be quiet. These are the fruits of the spirit we have to bring forth. That's what Yahushua did, man. You know how many times Yahushua had false brethren unaware? How many times he read men's minds and was quiet about the matter? Read men's minds and only answered one sentence, man. That takes a hell of a lot of patience. See, if you could read somebody's mind now, you go insane, man. My wife really think that of me? I got something to her. Then you pull out a damn staff while she sleep and you start knocking her on the head with it, man. Right? If you could read somebody's mind, it will drive you insane. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 9. And I want to this whole thing is absolutely fire. Right? I'm going to start at 3. Get straight to the point. It says, and behold, certain of the scribes said within themselves, this man blasphemeth. So they're saying these things secretly within themselves, man. Showing hatred, evilness, demons all on them. And Yahushua knowing their thoughts. If we're to take on the fruits of the spirit, what is the spirit? Yahushua. That's the spirit of carnal things of the world. Then you have the spirit. It says, and Yahushua knowing their thoughts said, wherefore think ye evil in your hearts? That's all he said, man. Somebody blaspheming you, you want to fight. You want your get back. You not a punk. You not a BIT. You know the rest, man. You not a whatever these wicked Negroes of the world call somebody that's a chump, man. You're none of those things. So you stand up for yourself. Know what that is? That's pride, man. The strongest man to ever walk this earth, he walked away. He replied in one-word sentences. He didn't give himself over to grudges and hatred. So the fruit you bringing forth, just because you're keeping the law in your mind, doesn't mean you moving in the spirit of Yahushua's fruit. It's a difference, right? Let's go to the mighty book of Leviticus. Let's go to the mighty book of Leviticus, chapter 27. And I'm going to start at verse 32. And concerning the tithe of the herd and of the flock, even whatsoever passeth under the rod, the 10th shall be holy unto the Lord. So things become holy. You have the rest of your flocks, rest of your corn, the rest of your oil. You understand? The rest of your wine, your grapes. You have all of these things. But whatever passeth the 10th becomes holy. That's spiritual, man. And 10 is a number of completion. So when you appear before the Lord, you don't just count your pockets like this and make a little line like a Christian. All right, I make 1,000, put up 100. And you put all like that and you put it in a collection plate, man. A 10th means completion, infinite, perfection, all around the totality. So whatever you bring before the Lord of the fruit that you possess has to be with a whole heart, a willing mind. It says, he shall not search whether it be good or bad, neither shall he change it, and he shall change it at all. Then both it and the change thereof shall be holy, it shall not be redeemed. So the Lord is talking about a 10th when you pass under the rod, which is the flocks. We're the flocks. That's what the Lord said in the book of Ezekiel when we go in the wilderness, right? The second wilderness will pass under the rod. Passing under the rod is the same thing as fulfilling that law in Leviticus, the 27th chapter. We have to become holy. In that 10th, on a deeper level, like I said, it's us. How do you know that? Let's go to Isaiah before we get there. We're the 10th. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 6. It's the book of Isaiah, right? Chapter 6. And I want to start at verse number 11. It's Isaiah chapter 6 and verse 11. And it reads, it says, then said I, Lord, how long? And he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitants, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate. How long you going to give these people over to a delusion? How long you gonna have their hearts and their minds be blocked from the understanding of repentance? Verse 12, and the Lord have removed men far away. That's spiritual. And there be a great forsaking in the midst of the land. And that's happened, man. Men have forsaken the laws of God, but yet it shall be a tenth, and it shall return. So out of all of these men going off, everybody falling away, and the Lord removing men, it shall be a tenth. Now the Lord likened Israel to the sand of the sea, like the stars of the heavens. You telling me out of all the stars which are innumerable, only a tenth part of no, tenth means completion. Meaning out of all Israel, you're gonna have brothers that desire repentance, desire to come back to the Lord, desire to be perfect, desire that yearning feeling of perfection, man. You should want to be perfect, man. It should destroy you and hurt you and break you down when you fall short, man. Should have a Christian mentality. Oh, tomorrow's a new day. Oh, it is what it is. No, it should eat you up that you fell short. Because he didn't die for you to go off willingly, man. The Lord's blood. Look at this, man. And this is not physically the Lord, but nevertheless, this is a depiction. The Lord didn't hang for you to willingly grudge. He didn't hang for you to willingly be slothful. Man, you're willingly slothful. Willingly. Willingly slothful. Willingly don't want to go to camp. Look at all this blood, man. Just dripping. And you got to answer for that. You have to answer for that. All you brothers that just think, shit, all the things you've done, you don't have to answer to. You have to answer for that. All the bad fruit, the mold. Look at this. You have to answer to that. And the more, I would say, the more you increase in the fear of the Lord, the more these things will hurt you. It'll scare you, man. You know, when you were a child and it thunders and you got scared, you may ran in the living room, you ran to your mother's house, so like your mother's room, you ran to your father's room, you got under the bed, you went in the attic or you went in the basement or whatever to escape, you ran into the closet. That's how you have to be with these commandments, man. Hey, David said, horror have taken hold on me, man. Let me get that real fast. You should hate when you go off. You should hate bringing bad fruit, man. Some people don't care. That's the sick, scary part about it, man. The 2/3 don't care. Let's get the mighty book of Psalms, chapter 119. Let's start at 53. It says, horror have taken hold on me. David said, horror, man, because of the wicked that forsake thy law. I mean, David almost is catching a heart attack on people that forsake the law because he knows the judgments of the Lord, man. He knows how dreadful the Lord can be. His name is dreadful amongst the heathen, man. The Lord destroys you. And for all you men that are offering up, a whatever sacrifice to the Lord, it is what it is. Let me get this quick precept. You see Malachi chapter 2 in the GNT. That's what the Lord said. This is Malachi chapter 2 and verse number 3. It says, I will punish your children and rub your faces in dung of the animal sacrifices, man. What is that saying? I mean, I don't care about you saying sorry all the time. I don't care about you repenting all the time. I don't care about your animal sacrifices all the time. Obedience over sacrifice. That's what the Lord is saying. I'd rather you be perfect as much as you can in this flesh. And the Lord said, be ye therefore perfect. Strive for greatness, man. Stop banking on the blood of the Lord like it's some get out of jail free card. Have integrity. Stand up. You only got one life to live, man, in this flesh. One opportunity to lay hold on everlasting life. And men are playing around with their lot. This is not a movie where you could go in a portal and be 10 years younger, man. You switch around in who you are, and now you have another opportunity. This is not a cat that jumps off the building and prounces and lands perfectly, man. Once you're finished and your candle's blown out, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. You're being destroyed, being mocked at by men. This was the men that began to build but was not able to finish, man. The Most High despites you. The angels look down on you. Yahweh Shah will not confess you before the Father. Stop playing around in the spirit, man. Before this thing comes to pass, and it be you that's fulfilling the scriptures we read about, man. It's not just some random man when we read. It could very well be me, man. That's how you got to look at these scriptures. The Most High is not playing, man. Oh, that's just the God of the Old Testament. It's just the God of the Old Testament at it again. It says, I will punish your children, right? And rub your faces in the dung of your animal sacrifices, and you will be taken out of the dung heap. Then you will know that I have given you this commandment. Man, stop playing with me, man. I take your face and rub it in some dung, man. So when you come out of it, and it's not literal, it's parabolical. I mean, the Lord will take you from a higher state. You had a clean face. What's on your face? Oil was on your face. You were bright because your light so shine amongst men, man. You had everything the heart could wish, but you was playing with the Most High. You didn't keep the commandments. You didn't have integrity. So what the Lord did, he said, look, I'm going to take from this situation and I'm going to put your face in some dung so that you could truly be humbled, man. What's putting your face in some dung on a spiritual level? Losing precepts, losing wisdom, not desiring to read, not desiring to pray. You're slowly withdrawn back in the world, slowly withdrawn back into the grave, slowly withdrawn back into the old man. Then you're going to finally realize, man, I took this truth for granted. I took the brothers for granted, man. I took my camp for granted. I took Yahweh Shah for granted. Let's go to the mighty book of Isaiah, chapter 6, and verse number 13 again. It says, but yet it shall be a tenth, and it shall return. That's talking about the elect. That's the increase the Lord is desiring for you to bring forth. That's going to return at the end, that increase. And it shall be eaten, right? As a myrtle tree and as an oak whose substance is in them when they cast their leaves. So the holy seed shall be substance thereof. The Lord called it a holy seed. Now, what makes something holy? Being set apart. The Most High takes a man, meaning that tenth, to be holy. We just read it in the book of Leviticus, the 27th chapter. What makes a man holy? Let's go to Psalms, right? Chapter 4. Let's find out. Because the Lord just said, so shall the holy seed be. What makes you the holy seed? Can't just say, well, I'm an Israelite. I'm the holy seed. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 4, in verse number 5. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord. There be many that will say, who will show us any good? It says, Lord, lift thou up the light of thy countenance upon us. All right. So like I went verse 3, but that was the spirit. But know that the Lord have set apart. Set apart means to be what? It means to be holy. It says, but know that the Lord have set apart, meaning made this man holy, him that is godly for himself. That's the same thing as a tenth, because all the other flock weren't holy but that tenth. The Lord said only a tenth will return. A tenth will hear the words of the Lord. This is the fruit that barely men can bring forth in this world. Nothing but murderers, idolaters, wickedness, witchcraft, and all things of evilness, man. It says, but know that the Lord have set apart him that is godly for himself. If you're not godly and moving in the spirit, the Lord is not dealing with you. He's going to do away with you, man. Yeah, we fall short. Yeah, we went off. We go off. Not willingly, but we fall short, man. On a race, your muscles are going to give out. You're going to be tired. That doesn't willingly mean you fall behind on purpose, man. It's the book of Second Esdras, chapter 6, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 27. It says, for evil should be put out. What is this talking about? It's talking about in the end, when Yahweh Shai manifests and saves the elect. And deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Faith is what? It's Yahweh Shai. It's the truth. It's the true fruit. It's going to yield forth, man. See, a lot of people right now, they're trying their hardest to yield forth fruit, but you can't because you're in a corruptible body as much as you can, man. Yeah, we're going to bring forth the fruit, but it's not up to the standard of a man that's immortal and perfect. It says, as for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which have been so long without fruit, man. So on this earth, you got to really think, there's no fruit on this earth, man. There's nothing bringing forth immortality on this earth. Shall be declared. And what is that? It's really in the harvest at the end of the world. It's when the Lord is coming, right? You have the wheat and you have the tares. There's so many prophecies, there's so many parables going into husbandry. You got the law going into husbandry. You got Mark 4. You understand the sower and the seed. You got the tares and the wheat. You got the man that was over the husbandry in the vineyard, man. In the book of Matthew, the 20th chapter, that saw men idle and put them to work. All of these things are to be written for our learning's sake. John, the 15th chapter, on Yahweh Shai being the true vine. It says, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, right? Faith, truth, liberty, these are all synonyms for Yahweh Shai, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. Let me get this quick precept, and I'm going to dive into the fruits of the Spirit. Let's go to the mighty book of Second Esdras, chapter 9. Second Esdras, right, chapter 9. I'm going to start, right, at verse number 17. And he answered me, saying, like as the field is, so also is the seed, man. What does that mean? Meaning whatever field you have is going to be likened into the seed. Because look at this field. The seed is going to mimic this field because it's not going to grow. If it's a fertile field, right, it's going to mimic that seed because it's going to take root. So the Lord is saying parabolically, whatever spirit you're in, whatever you entertain, however hard you go, whatever mimic is spirit that's in you is what's going to yield out of you. You may look at a brother, oh, the brother's kind of in spirit. I guess so, shalom. But deep down within him, man, he's parched. There's no water. There's no life. It says, as the flowers be, such are the colors also, man. They complement one another. And if you're really in Yahweh Shai, it'll show. Such as the workman is, such also is the work. When you have a blacksmith, a goldsmith, you have men that actually work, and the work that they do will dictate whether they're truly, of that profession, man. Or whether they're a novice, they don't really know what's going on, they're doing this for fun, they're just craftsmen at craft time, or whether they're truly getting paid for this, man. Top dollar. They're a journeyman. They're a man of construction. They're a carpenter. It says, as is the husbandman himself, so is his husbandry also. Now you look at the husbandman. The true husbandman is the Most High, but look at all the increase. It's the Most High's hand. But look at you as a husbandman. Look what you're over. You're over your wife. You're over your children. You're over the congregation. You're over brethren. You're over your little brother or your little sister. Or whatever, you're over the nation, to be an example, man. Whatever husbandman you are is going to dictate your husbandry also, man. See, a woman let's say, a poor mother, her children aren't fed, house is out of order, house isn't clean, neglects responsibilities, that's going to dictate and show what type of spirit that you're in. The husbandman neglects his wife, doesn't care about her at all, doesn't pay any bills, is a straight Negro man, right? That's going to dictate how your wife moves. All of these things are spiritual. So in a time of harvest and visitation, where it's time to have fruit, you can't blame nobody but yourself, man. You've did that. This isn't a work project where your boss, he knocks at your door. Yeah, that TPS report, it's due in the morning. And you stay up all night and you pull an all-nighter, man. This isn't school where your science project is due the next day. This is life and death, man. And whatever you've been doing all year, you can't brush off your garment or throw another garment or rough garment on to deceive, man. Because it's going to manifest everything you've brought forth, man. The Lord said in the book of Sirach, let me get this quick precept. Let's go to Sirach chapter 27. It's Sirach chapter 27 in verse, let me see what I want. 5. The furnace proveth the potter's vessel. So you're going to be proven. The furnace, what? The fire, the temptation. These things are proving you every day, man. You're always falling short. You're always cracking. You're always not in the spirit. You're always, falling short. You got to examine the spirit you're in, man. The Lord said the furnace proveth the potter's vessel. You will always get proven, man, by the Most High. So the trial of man is in his reasoning. What does that mean? So the trial of man is in his reasoning, man. Meaning the reasoning that you bring forth, or that's going to dictate the trial that you're in. Say the Most High, put you in a situation or whatever the case may be, and the reason of how you think. Running away, I'm scared, I don't know what to do. Let me just be carnal. Let me flip a table. That's your reasoning in the trial that you're in. The trial could be adversity. You lose your job. The trial could be marriageable problems. I'll just give up. I'll leave. The trial could be, whether you truly love me, man. The Lord have you have a season like Job. You lose everything, man. Your children die. That's the trial that you're in. Your reasoning is your mind. What am I going to think? What am I going to do, man, in this situation? Am I going to stand tall or faint? Am I going to give up? Am I going to add a fruit to the spirit? Or am I going to show forth the wicked fruit that I can't truly keep perfectly of the law that's going to manifest, man? It says the fruit declareth if the tree have been dressed. See, any man and any child can see this, man. Any child can see this, man. There's no fruit on here. The fruit is going to declare if the tree have been dressed. The dressing of the tree is the fruit. You can look from a mile away and see no fruit on the tree, man. A child can look up. 4-year-old can declare. So it's nothing you can hide. The Lord said the fruit declared that the tree have been dressed. So is the utterance of a concern right in the heart, right? Let's go to the mighty book of Galatians. Go to the fruits of the spirit. Let's go to the mighty book, right, of Galatians chapter 5 in verse number 22. But the fruits of the spirit is love. Now, when you break down the fruits of the spirit, again, yes, it is talking about love your neighbor. Yes, it is talking about the love you have for your wife and your children. Yes, you're supposed to joy and fellowship in the congregation. Yes, you're supposed to have peace with one another. But it's what's the spirit, the fruit of the spirit? Again, this I say then, walk in the spirit. Now, when you read up in this chapter, let me see. I'm going to start at verse 13. For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty, meaning what? To be set free through the bondage and the elements of the flesh, which is the law that bringeth forth death and bondage. You've been called to liberty. Who's called you? Yahweh Shah. Only use not liberty, meaning don't use this occasion for an occasion to the flesh. And don't use the blood of Yahweh in vain or this opportunity to go off. But by love serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So it's talking about the law and you fulfilling it, right? But if ye bite and devour one another, take heed that ye be not consumed one of another. This I say then, walk in the spirit. So you have the spirit, right, which is the liberty that you've been called out of the flesh, which brings forth bondage and death. Again, in the context of what this is talking about, it's talking about Yahweh. Because a lot of men, they bring forth, these fruits. Man, Moabites are joyful, man. You got Moabite couples that have been together for 30 years. Check this out. Old Chinese. They've been together for 45 years. They have joy. They have love. They have peace. It's not necessarily just talking about that. Being very carnal. They probably argue once every 2 weeks, max. It's because she had a bad day. Because they submit to their men. Look at that. It's not talking about them. See, this will make them virtuous. This will make them to have the fruits of the Spirit. See, when it says the fruits of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, and faith, that's talking about in Yahweh Shai. A lot of people don't love the Lord, man, because they don't keep his commandments. They don't have joy, right? Because they're always down, they're depressed. They don't care that they've been set free through liberty. They're still moving like they're still under bondage. I broke the commandments. I think I'm going to be sifted out. No, brother, there's joy in that, man. Yahweh Shai set you free. He's giving you the opportunity to have fruit again, man. Through his liberty, through his calling, through him down on the cross. Make peace with you and me because we were once strangers. We were once alienated, man, from the commonwealth. You once was an enemy of the Lord, man. But what did he do? He bridged that gap of peace between me and you. You understand? You and him. Me and him. Long suffering. A lot of people can't long suffer in Yahweh Shai. Paul long suffered. You understand? The men of God, they long suffer. They catch tribulations and they go through it, man. They got a testimony. Gentleness, goodness, faith. The gentleness and the meekness that you have is the same thing. Gentleness is the same thing as meekness. It's not talking about your very, right, you tap a brother like this. Right, here he is, he's turned around, and then you take the least strong finger and you go like this. It's not what that's talking about, man. When you're gentle, what does that mean? You're meek, you're lowly, you're humble. You're not aggressive and moving stuff around and acting proud. You're meek, you're lowly. You're gentle in the spirit, man. Hey, the Lord said, let me get a quick precept on that. And I want to get a precept on all of these, but for sake of time, let me get this quick precept. All right, it's not talking about you tap a brother ever so gently. All right. Slocky, bear with me. Get this quick precept. 2 Corinthians 2. Verse 7. 1 Thessalonians 2:7. But we were gentle among you, even as a nurse cherisheth her children. Meaning Paul wasn't going to the church and flipping over tables and beating people up, man. Smacking people around. And saying, I am Paul the Great, man. No, he was gentle among them. Meaning he knew the level that they were on. Okay, Galatians, they were bewitched, right, by the circumcision. Okay, I have understanding of the church of Thessalonica. They're without faith. Okay, I have an understanding in Corinth, right? They're the lowest level of all the churches, right? They have fightings and revelings. Okay, I know this church. He was gentle, meaning he knew how to move because a lot of these men that were coming into the faith. Coming into the faith, meaning what? They're newborn babes. Newborn babes, meaning you have to be what? You have to nourish them. You have to be gentle. You have to bring them up with the milk, the sincere milk of the word. So being affectionate, that's not literal. Literally gentle and literally affectionate. That's not literal in Galatians. Right? Don't turn this truth into some Christian effeminate doctrine. Because this is what the Christians they love to run to, man. Right? This is not what that's talking about. Desirous of you, we were willing to have imparted unto you, not the gospel of God only, but also of our own souls, because ye were declared unto us. Right? Meaning they were what? They were gentle, they were meek, they were lowly. Goodness, right? Meaning of a good conscience, how you move, the goodness and spirit that you have of integrity, right? Faith, because you can't teach integrity. It got to be in you, man. Goodness is not talking about you have a halo on and a smile on your face. Goodness is really like integrity. But let me get a couple of these in the Greek. Galatians chapter 5. I'm gonna pull up joy real fast. Joy is gladness, man. Stop being sorrowful all the time, man. Stop finding a reason to be mad, be upset, be optimistic, man. You could be dead. Look how many car accidents brothers got into, man. How many things that the Lord could have switched in a matter of a second, man. You could have died today. A lot of people didn't wake up today, man. A lot of people fell asleep in this truth that you know about or heard of. The joy received from you, right? The cause of an occasion of joy, a person who, right, are one's joy. And you have to joy. The Lord said, put sorrow far away from thee, man. The more sorrowful you are, the more it's going to bring you away from the Lord, man. Let me bring this out in the book of Sirach real fast. All right. Get this quick precept. Right. This is Sirach, right? Chapter, see what I want. Sirach chapter 25, 26, in verse 4. Whether a man be rich or poor, if he have a good heart toward the Lord, he shall at all times rejoice with a cheerful countenance, man. That's why a lot of homeless people, they be happy, man. You'll talk to them what's really going on. A lot of them, they're bugged out. They got spirits on them, I know. They try to fight you or, they're not stable. But a lot of them that really have a little bit of their sense, when you talk to them, they're grateful. Give them 2 cents. They're grateful, man. And what's been going on, man? How you been making out here? Yeah, yeah. I mean, just having a good. They're just trying to make it. And they're optimistic. They're not. What do you mean? That's a stupid question. They're trying to fight you. Like if you're really in the spirit of the Most High, whatever you go through, no matter what it is, you should have some type of cheer. It's not talking about when you lose your job, your wife gets shot, your husband, he give up the ghost, your children get hit by a train, right? You get food poisoning, that you're going like this in the house like an elf, man. That's not what that's talking about. Meaning you have hope. You know it's not over, man. Right, let me go back to Galatians. Let me just have that on the screen. All right. It's Galatians. Right, I'm going to pull that back up in the blue letter. So you have joy, you have peace, a state of tranquility, man, relaxation, exempt from the rage and havoc of war. And a lot of people don't have that. They don't have peace. They're always rageful. Peace between individuals. How many people are about to enter into the feast of Pentecost, right? In the spirit of having division. That's something to examine heavily. Harmony, concord, right? Being in one concord. Security, safety, prosperity. Right? Do you have the security that Yahweh Shai is really with you, man? The safety and understanding. The angels are around you. It's the fruits of the spirit that you're going to bring about in Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai yielded forth the fruits of the spirit. Because peace and harmony maketh and keepeth things safe and prosperous of Messiah's peace. See, in a contextual level, you yield that forth, man. The way that leads to peace and salvation, right? It says, what else? Peace, long suffering, patience. Do you have patience in your life, man? Or do you want something right now, all the time? Endurance. People are fainting in this truth, man. Not because, they aren't strong enough. They're fainting because they don't believe, man. I mean, look at this account. Let me get this quick precept in the book of Mark. This is the perfect definition of believing and having faith. It's Mark chapter 2, right? And I want to start at, this whole thing is fire. So like, bear with me. I'm gonna start at 1. And again, he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noise that he was in the house. And straightway, many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive him. No, not so much, right, as about the door. And he preached the word unto them. And they come unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was born right afore. And when they could not come nigh unto him for the press, they uncovered the roof where he was. And that didn't stop them, man. They was catching hell. They had the palsy, all type of spirits, but they had patience, consistency, steadfast, perseverance. They wanted that thing, man. It says, and when they had broken it up, they didn't ask for a blessing. They damn near took it, man. And let down the bed wherein the sick of the palsy laid. When Yahweh Shai saw their faith. Faith isn't just saying, now I lay me down to sleep, man. Or I have faith that Yahweh Shai is real. I mean, the devils do. The devils believe, like it says in James. What faith is it talking about? It's not talking about just believing. What feats and acts are you going to go for Yahweh Shai? That's the faith. That's the true faith, man. What levels are you going to go? Are you trying to travel the world for his name, man? Magnified on the highest of levels that humanly is possible? Are you trying to show the amount of faith that our fathers have? Because this man, he uncovered the roof, man, and scaled down. And when Yahweh saw their faith, he said unto the sick of the palsy, son, thy sins be forgiven. Why? Because he saw their faith, slowness, right? In avenging wrongs, right? Gentleness, integrity. Check that out, man. Goodness, moral, right? So gentleness, again, isn't talking about you tap a brother on the shoulder, man, right? You tap the brother on the shoulder with your pinky. He turns around aggressive and you put your hands up like this. It says goodness, right? Uprightness of heart, right? Like I said, integrity, goodness and kindness, faith, conviction, right? Of the truth of any belief, the conviction that God exists, the creator and ruler of all things, right? So you want to have that. You want to believe in these things. It says, but the fruit of the spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. A lot of people fall short with temperance, man. A lot of people fall short with temperance. Temperance is one of the main things that have brothers go to jail, brothers get killed, right? Give up the ghost, fights, people get jumped, people get shot. Self-control, always arguing back and forth with your significant other, man. It's not you that's arguing. It's a spirit deep down within you stirring up wrath, which is an indication and should let you know that that's not of the Most High. Let me get this quick precept in the book, right, of John. Matter of fact, let me get James. It's the book of James, chapter 4 and verse 1. From whence cometh wars and fightings among you? And the Lord breaks it down. You may say, well, I'm angry. I'm justified in my anger. I could do what I want to do. The Lord said, from whence cometh wars? Wars is a spirit of wrath. You're going back and forth. You're striving. You're quarreling. From whence cometh wars and fightings among you? Whether that's your family, your husband and wife, brethren, sisters. It says, cometh they not hence, even from your lust. It's not talking about sexual devious lust. When it says lust, it means you're lusting to get your point across. You're lusting to be heard. You're lusting to be right. You're lusting to talk. You have no patience. You have no temperance. That's why when you see brothers teaching on the highways and byways, a lot of keyboard warriors have a lot to say. Could have been more patient. You should have brought out this precept. You should have did this. You should have did that. You should have did this. You should have did that. They have no idea the demons that are on people, how they have no temperance to have a conversation. How you can't really have a godly discourse with fools. How that these people are fully and solely of the flesh and of the world. They have no fruits of the spirit. They can't be patient. So you got to deal with them according of the spirit. It says that war in your members. Your member is your body. So there are things running in and out of you, which are spirits going to and fro, moving you to fight, moving you to strike, moving you to flip a table, slam a door, run away, right? Murmur, get drunk. It's moving you because it's warring of your lust and things you want, man. Ye lust and have not. Ye kill and desire to have and cannot obtain. Ye fight in war, yet have ye not because ye ask not. Ye ask and receive not because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lust. So a lot of things aren't sincere. Things people want, right? May want to be a teacher, may want to start a camp, but it's out of lust. May want to, whatever the case may be in this world. And the Lord shut it down and you just can't get over it and it wars within you and you don't show forth the fruits of the spirit, right? Through lust. It says, against such there is no law. It says, and they that are Christ's have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. So if you're really in Yahushua, you've crucified the flesh, meaning you've killed the old man to be resurrected in the spirit. If we live in the spirit, let us also walk in the spirit. And this is something you really got to examine. Because if you're not walking in the spirit, then you're not in Yahushua. You're just somebody in this truth that knows of the truth, keeps some commandments, but doesn't take on the image of Yahushua. You're nothing more than a Pharisee, a hypocrite, and a Pharisee if you don't move in the spirit of Yahushua. He's the one that came to show you how to move in the spirit. And Yahushua has a lot of laws he still has to fulfill. You understand? He didn't fulfill everything, as far as he still have to put out Amalek, man. That law still has to come to pass. Who's going to do that? Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You want to stand as our head and us going into battle. Snatching up the kings of the earth and killing them and destroying them eventually in the spirit and the kingdom. So there are a lot of laws and prophecies and things that Yahushua has to fulfill. You understand? The Lord said, let us also walk in the spirit. So we have to take on that spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. See, provoking one another is starting unnecessary arguments and fights. You're provoking a situation. You're heaping wood upon a fire and flame. The Lord said, water will quench a flaming fire. So do arms, right, as sin in the book of Sirach, chapter 1 and verse 30. Let me get that real fast. Nobody wants to be the bigger man. Everybody wants to be right, right? Everybody wants to, whatever the case may be. Salakia. What's that? 3 and 30. It says, water will quench a flaming fire. What is the water? The word, the spirit. Water will quench a flaming fire, and arms make an atonement for sins, right? So that water and that knowledge of the Lord and being patient is going to quench that flaming fire. The flaming fire is you upset, you mad, you angry, you ready to do whatever, however, to fulfill, right, your lust. Let's go to the book of Psalms, the mighty book of Psalms. Right, this is Psalm chapter 65, and I'm going to start at verse, right, number 7, which stilleth the noise of the seas, meaning the Most High. And the noise of the seas is spiritual because that could be the tumults of the nations, vanity, right? That could be tribulation, like Peter when he went aboard on the sea, the noise of their waves and the tumults of the people, right? So the Lord stills all of that, man. When you're rocking back and forth, temptations, and your mind's all over the place, the Lord, he the one that stills that, man. He the one that gears it up. They also that dwell in the uttermost parts are afraid of thy tokens, meaning the nations and them that are afar off are afraid of the things that the Lord can do. Thou makest the outer goings of the morning and the evening to rejoice. So even the creation of the stars, like you read in Baruch, the 3rd chapter, they rejoice in the Lord. The evening, the morning, they rejoice. In the book of Job, the angels, sons of God, they rejoice. The sons of men, man, the children of God, they're supposed to rejoice. The Lord has created things to praise and glorify his name, not to be sorrowful, sad. I never seen a sad moon. I never seen a sad sun or a sad creation, man. Now, the Lord does have gloomy days and dark skies and different things like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean they don't rejoice because they're still keeping the commandment of how the Lord wants that to be ordained. Thou visitest the earth and waterest it. So when the Lord visiteth the earth, he waters the earth. What is that symbolic to? The Lord being a husbandman and tending to his garden. You're being watered, right, and cared for. Thou greatly enrichest with the river of God, which is full of water. Thou preparest them corn when thou hast so provided for it. So the Lord said he's preparing and enriching the earth, you understand, and it's full of water. That's spiritual, man. And brothers got to look at it that way. It says thou great is like it prepares them corn when that is so provided. It says thou waterest the riches thereof abundantly. Thou settest the furrows thereof. Thou makest it soft with showers. Again, what does it mean? Is making it soft with showers? This is the making it soft with showers. Right? Salaki, bear with me. This is the soft with showers. The Lord makes the ground soft with the showers, the dew of heaven. Thou settest the furrows thereof, thou makest it soft with showers. So if you want to get your spirit right and bring forth fruit, what do you got to do? You got to pray to the Most High. You have to fast because he's the one that's increasing you, diminishing you, making you strong, making you delusional. It says, thou blesseth the springs thereof. Thou crownest the year with thy goodness. Thy paths drop fatness. So what does it mean thy paths drop with fatness, man? Meaning, if you're walking in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, all your ways will be prosperous. They're going to flow with fatness. Fatness is another way of saying an increase. But if where you're going, you're being hedged up, you're hitting a brick wall, you don't know what's going on, I never make the right decision, you always feel delusional, brother, you're not following in the path of the shepherd. You're following your own paths, man, your own ways, which are a wilderness for bribers and thorns. That's why the Lord said, thou crownest the year with thy goodness, and thy paths drop fatness. They drop upon the pastures of the wilderness. So in the wilderness, which is America, right, on a spiritual level, right, a land without any water, right, you should still be able to follow the shepherd. It says, then the little hills rejoice on every side. See, the little hills, right, in the mountains and the pastures and the flocks, it's all symbolic of Israel. The pastures are clothed with flocks. So on this path, which is Yahweh Shai being a shepherd, leading you to the kingdom in a wilderness, which is America, you have people rejoicing, right? You have people in the spirit. You have the flocks, which are the men, women, and children following the shepherd. The valleys also covered over with corn. Again, corn means a blessing. It's synonymous with a blessing. It's not talking about actual carnal corn, man. You're trying to figure out, what kind of corn is it? Is it cream corn? Right? Is it corn pudding? Is it cornbread? Let's go to the book of Sirach. Let's prove that. Corn in the ancient world, that was a sign of a blessing, of the Most High increasing. All right, let's go to Sirach, chapter 40, and verse number 22. It said, thine eye desireth favor and beauty. And every man's eye desires favor and beauty. Everybody wants to be told, I like your haircut. Women want to hear, their hair look nice. Brothers, they cop some new kicks. Where'd you get those? Those is fire. Everybody desires favor. Everybody desires beauty. I like, that woman or that woman saying, I like that man. And this is beautiful. I like this abstract art. How beautiful is the sun? Every eye desires that. But more than them both. And that's spiritual because the eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear of hearing. Tell a brother you're not, you said, I had enough of seeing for today. And then he put on his all black shades, man. I've never seen that. You got old people just sitting at the rocking chair watching cars go by all day long. Nobody gets tired of seeing things, right? Even when you got to go to sleep, you sitting up there watching TV with your head on your pillow. It says, but more than them both, corn, while it is green. Meaning, while that corn is in its right, perfect state, and it's showing forth greenness, the Lord said, that's what you should desire. Corn when it is green. This is corn when it is green, right before the harvest, right before the farmer comes. That's the increase of all your hard work, all your tillage, all the things that you've been doing all year long is coming at this exact moment. You're finally about to reap of all the things you've been looking for and wanting for all this time, huh? Let me get this quick precept on Hosea. Let's go to Hosea chapter 14. This is Hosea, all right, chapter 14. It's quick precept. Verse number 7. It says, they that dwell under his shadow shall return. Talking about the elect. That's that 10th. Same thing as Isaiah. They shall renew as the corn. It's like a revive. They shall revive as the corn. So the corn, it gets plucked, it gets sheathed, and then you have the off season before the corn comes back. We've died rather. We've went off. It's been parched. It's been a drought. But the Lord said we will revive. That's a blessing to bring us back to health and life and grow as the vine and scent thereof shall be as wine of Lebanon. So Lord said, we will grow, we will come back, man. But all of that's for them that's well under his shadow, them that are in the spirit. I want to get one more quick precept on that in the book of Psalms, chapter 72. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 72 and 16. There shall be an handful of corn in the earth upon the top of the mountains. Now, why does it say the top of the mountains? Because at the top of the mountains, that's where everything drops down. The wisdom, the knowledge, the oil, the wine, it's all going to start from the top of the mountain and it's going to all flickle down. The mountain is Israel. So it's saying, let me get a quick precept. Let's go to the mighty book of Joel. It's in the kingdom. That's what it's going to be. That's what you're going to have. Let's go to the mighty book of Joel, chapter 3. Just to link up that precept. It's the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 18. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine. Again, the mountains is Israel. The new wine is the understanding, the laws, the commandments, the prophecies, things that were hidden that man didn't know are going to be revealed. It's going to be new wine. Because you think you know Revelation, you think you know Second Esdras, you think you know Daniel, until these things are newly revelated and broken down the correct way, on top of things that were never shown to you. And the hills shall flow with milk. Where is this coming from? The mountains. And all the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters, and the fountain shall come forth of the house of the Lord, and shall water the valley of Shittim. So the Lord said there shall be a handful of corn in the earth upon the top of the mountains. And you know that's not literal, because corn doesn't grow on the physical mountains. Mountains are desolate, especially at the top of them. So blessings will come down, right, to all of the nation. The fruit thereof shall shake like Lebanon. So the fruit, right, again in the mountain is Israel, and they of the city shall flourish like grass of the earth. And that's exactly what's coming to pass right now. Brothers are growing. Brothers are getting an increase. And all of this is not just for us to smell good, feel good, have knowledge, have wisdom. It's all to give back to Yahweh Shai. He's the high priest. We're under the order of Mount Chesedek. What did Abraham do with a tenth of his spoils? He gave it to Yahweh Shai. He gave it to Mount Chesedek, man. Why? Because he was commanded to. That's the law from old. Let me get that real fast in the book of Hebrews, chapter 7. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 7, verse 1. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed them. And this is spiritual because Abraham represents the elect. He represents our father, right? Father of the circumcision, of righteousness. He kept the commandments and he kept the faith in Yahweh Shai. Returning from the slaughter of the kings, this is spiritual too. It says, to whom also Abraham gave the 10th part of all. And when we come back from our slaughter, most high willing we make it, right, brothers being elect, right, we're going to bring forth all of our spoils and all the things we have to Yahweh Shai. Right, that's literally in the book of Psalms, chapter 72. Right, let me get that quick precept. This is Psalms chapter 72 in verse, right, 10. It says, the kings of Tarshish and of the isles shall bring presents. The kings of Sheba, right, and Sheba shall offer gifts. So all presents, glory, honor, you know, gold, silver, anything of sport, women, anything you get, it all goes back to Yahweh Shah, carnally, spiritually. First being the interpretation, king of righteousness, right? Because righteousness is of faith, right? And he kept the commandments blamelessly, right? And after that, also king of Salem, which is king of peace, right? So, I mean, going into it, what did Abraham do? He gave a tenth. We all have to give a tenth. The Lord said in the book of Song of Solomon, the 8th chapter, and again, Solomon in the spirit is talking about Yahweh Shai. This Song of Solomon, chapter 8, in verse number 11. Solomon had a vineyard at Baal Haman. Now, a vineyard, again, we went to the precepts, is talking about Israel. Solomon had a vineyard. He let out the vineyard unto keepers. Now, who are the keepers? The servants of the Lord, the prophets. Adam was a keeper. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 3, in verse Salakia 2 and 15. That's what I want. It's the book of Genesis 2 and 15. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. So Adam was like a king. No, Adam was like a prophet. Adam was a high man of renown. You understand? So if you have a vineyard, you're going to leave it to the keepers. What do keepers do? Just like Adam, they keep the vineyard. Doesn't mean that Adam had on a damn hat, a garden hat, and those 3 claws, right? And he was scraping the ground like this, man. When he keep it, meaning what? He got the nation in order with the laws and the commandments. He was on fire. So Solomon, he left out, which is Yahweh, the vineyard, meaning Israel, unto keepers, meaning you prophets, you evangelists, you men that go out and labor, man, you apostles, you fathers, you husbands, even everyone, right? For the fruit thereof was to bring 1,000 pieces of silver. So he didn't give you this vineyard to be an adulterer in it or to bring forth fame. I'm the Hebrew of the year, top camp of the year, top debate of the year, top man of Israel. You know what? I've been thinking about it lately, and I think I want to run for the top man of Israel this year, man. I mean, why not? Right? That's not what this is talking about, man. All that vanity and vain wickedness. The Lord's going to sift out a lot of men in the last days, man. The Lord said, every one of the fruit thereof was to bring 1,000 pieces of silver. So what do you have to bring toward the Lord? 1,000 is a number of completion. So you have to bring forth a complete amount unto the Lord. My vineyard, which is mine, is before me, meaning he's watching it daily. Right? The Lord's always watching the vineyard. Let me get a quick precept on that. The Song of Solomon. Song of Solomon deals heavily with vineyard, man, and husbandry. This is Song of Solomon. I believe I won 7 and see what I want. In verse number 11. It's really 12, but I'll start at 11. Come, my beloved, let us go forth into the field. What's in the field? The fruit. Let us lodge in the villages. Let us get up early to the vineyards. So the Lord waking up early while men are asleep. Now, this isn't physical, right? It's spiritual. Meaning when things are early, like the Lord is coming like a thief in the night, right? Meaning in the midnight, right? And or to the early morning when men are unaware. Men aren't watching. They aren't diligent. They're likely going off and committing lewdness, right? And sins. They're all heaped up, right? In all type of wickedness and idolatry, right? It says, let us get up early to the vineyards. Let us see if the vine flourish. So the Lord is on the lookout, man. He's looking right now to see if the vine flourish. What is it flourishing for? To bring forth fruit. Whether the tender grape appear. Why are we called a tender grape? Because we can easily fall off the vine, man. Easily offended. Easily could fall out the truth, man. We're just a tender grape. Let me get this real fast. Hold up, tender. Just hanging on, man. Look at this. Look at this grapes right at the bottom. Just tender. A bird fly by too fast. It fall off. Let something shake the tree. Let it rain. And the south wind blow it, man. And the north wind and all hell break loose. We're tender. The Lord said, whether the tender grape appear and the pomegranates bud forth, there will I give thee my loves. The mandrakes give a smell. The mandrakes are man. The tender grapes is man. The vineyard is man. Giving a smell meaning you're flowing out the garden. You want to be able to give a smell. The Lord likens unto a savior of a sacrifice, a smell, something well pleasing, man. Right? The mandrakes give a smell, and at our gates are all manner of pleasant fruits. Now, the gates are the elect. Again, on a deeper level, the gates, that's the structure of Israel, and all manner of pleasant fruits, new and old. So you could bring forth fruit, new and old, man. You don't have to recycle that same old breakdown you've learned 3 years ago. Or all you do as a woman is cook and clean. And there's your ceiling. I'll forever be a Swiffer duster, a vacuum cleaner, and I'll never be anything more. I put my brick in for the kingdom. No, put more in, man. Have new and old. Learn a new breakdown, man. Learn to counsel younger sisters, to teach younger sisters, to teach children, to give to the homeless. Increase. It says, which I have laid up for thee. I'm gonna read that again. Which I have laid up for thee, oh my beloved. Everything's about fruit. Everything's about giving back to Yahweh Shah. He gave his life for you. It says, my vineyard, which is mine, is before me. Thou, O Solomon, must have, read that again, must have 1,000. So you have to bring fruit. And what you bring, it has to be 1,000. It has to be perfect. Has to be infinite. It didn't say it can be 1,000. It must be. And thou that keep the fruit thereof 200. Meaning you get a portion, right, out of what you give Yahweh Shai. When you give up your life, right, you cast away all your family, right, you lost your job. These are all things you're given by a sacrifice. You understand? You done taught, you done brought souls to the Lord. You're doing all of these things to bring this. Then the Lord will give you that promise, that inheritance. You understand? 10 cities. It's going to give you back a little bit out of what you gave him. Right? Let me get this quick precept. Let me get a couple more before I close out. Maybe 2 or 3 more. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 25. Right? In verse, right, number 26. This whole thing is fire. I may start at, I'm going to start at 24. Then which ye have received one talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, man. Who's sowing right now? The men of the Lord. The Lord said in the book of 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter. Let me get this quick precept. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse number 8. I'm going to start at 6. I have planted, Apollos watered. Where's Yahweh Shai right now? Here right now, man. Where's the Lord had a guest appearance where Paul had his back turned and Apollos, he was writing down a breakdown. And here comes the Lord with the sheaf and all the threshing instruments, and he put it down in the ground. No, he don't have to, man. He don't have to do anything. He's going to reap things he hasn't sown down, man. Everything you've done in this truth, he want a part of it, man. He need that. Because if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't even be here. We all owe Yahweh Shai, man. You can't think with a in your mind that he's gonna die for you just for you to just keep the commandments and just believe in him, and that's it. That's all. No, you have to die for him. That old man has to die. Whether it comes down to tribulation, you have to die for the Lord, man. Look at the martyrs of Sabi. Look at the 12 apostles, man. The 11 apostles. Look at the men of the Lord that died, man, for his name. It says reaping what thou hast not sown and gathering what thou hast not strawed. So don't think that, you don't owe the Lord anything. Children, women, younger men, people that just came into this truth, it's going to come a time when you got to offer up the fruits and the things that the Lord has given you, whether physically or spiritually, right? Whether it's arms and love and counsel, or whether it's things spiritual of patience, meekness, joy. These things you have to give towards the Lord, man. It says, reaping what thou hast not sown and gathering what thou hast not strawed. So those are the things, again, the Lord said, so then there is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but Yahweh that giveth the increase. Now he that planteth and he that watereth are one, and every man shall receive his own reward, right, according to his own labor. So that's going to be your reward. How much you put in, it's how much you're going to get out. A lot of men are putting in a lot of work, man. They're doing a lot of things in the spirit. They're going hard, man. A lot of brothers are just doing just the bare minimum. Look at this. You know, some people got a little vineyard. Couple of trees, couple of twigs. Some people just going for it all. They want fields. They want it all. They want to get, and it's not vain about, you and all you don't. It's what you can give the Lord, man. You traveling, all this is not for you. This is a carnal body that's going to give up the ghost and that wax is old, man. It's you trying to magnify your Howard Shah to give him as much as you can in this body, man. That's what it's about. Let me get this quick precept in the book of John. Right? I'm gonna have to find it through the spirit. I'm gonna get this quick precept. If brothers could bear with me. In the book of John, chapter 4. Okay, I see it. I'm looking right at it. This is the book of John, chapter 4, and verse 35. Say not ye that there are yet 4 months, and then cometh the harvest. A lot of people procrastinate. Or it's a far off. It's 4 months. I have forever in a lifetime, huh? I'll get there. I have more time. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. A lot of people think the kingdom is 1,000 years from now. They have forever to cleanse themselves. See, if all hell broke loose and sirens start alarming out right now when all hell was breaking in the streets, 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, everybody would try to get their spirit right. Everybody would be calling, right, who they think is spiritual, who is their elder. They'll look for some spiritual leadership, man, or somebody to help them navigate in these rough times. Stop thinking that these things are far off and 4 months from now. Lord said, lift up your eyes on these fields. They're already white to harvest. It's talking about the end of the world on a deeper level, man. Talking about the end days. It says, and he that reapeth wages, so like it, he that reapeth receiveth wages, and gathereth fruit unto life eternal. So he that reapeth receiveth wages. You're going to receive that wage. What's that wage? A penny a day. All of these precepts, they all link up through the spirit. It says that both he that soweth and he that reapeth may rejoice together. See, those that sowed, right, are our forefathers. They really put the work in, man. To really put work in, it's a lot to sow a seed. The sowing the seed is what Isaiah did, Ezekiel did, Daniel did. You understand? These prophets and leaders, Paul, he sowed. These things came to life and brought forth fruit so that we could be able to reap of the things they planted. A lot of things Daniel may have said, he didn't really get the revelation of. A lot of things Ezra said, asking for more knowledge in certain aspects. Brothers are breaking these things down, and everything he done sold through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shem Shah. Brothers in his truth, which knowledge is increasing, are reaping. Let me prove that. That is hard. It even show you that in the scriptures is hard, man, to plant a seed. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 28. Or I may want to read this in another translation. Right? Let's see how in another translation, real fast. This is Isaiah, right? Chapter 28 in the GNT. It says, listen to what I am saying. Pay attention to what I am telling you. Farmers don't consistently plow their fields and keep getting them ready for planting. Right? They're not just doing this for fun, man. You think farmers are out there in their overalls all day long for fun? They really want to increase. They're working. People, they got dirt in their fingernails, dirt in their boots. They got to thoroughly wash themselves when they get inside. They got bugs, all type of creeping things. Right? It's cold. They could catch a cold out there. They get rained on. Wild beast. It is 1,000 of the elements that really come with husbandry. It says, once they have prepared the soil. So you have to prepare the soil, man. Again, we went into earlier on that soil isn't just ready for the plant. Isaiah had it way harder than us, man. Here you are at the last seconds of the clock, sneaking in the vineyard because you don't really know what's going on. You just stumbled into this truth, man. You were lost. You stumbled into somebody's field, man. And that somebody was the Most High. You were on the road to God knows where, but you stumbled across this field, smelt all of the good fruit, seen things that were pleasant for you, and you start picking it for yourself and starting to eat these things. You're eating of the laws, the commandments, the statutes, the ordinances, the parables, the similitudes, the dark allegories, and it tastes good to you, man. But Isaiah, he got sawed asunder, man. Daniel got put in the lion's den. Noah, it rained and he had to build. So the things that these men sold so that we could read about it, they're the ones that prepared the soil. It says they plant seeds, like the seeds of the herbs, such as drill, right? Dill and cumming, right? And that's a process, right? It says they plant rows of wheat and barley. They had to plant the rows. They would hitch up to a plow and then they would break down that ground, man. They would need donkeys, right? They would need all of these type of animals to break open that ground, man. I mean, look at slavery. Look at the oxen. These things weren't easy. It said they plant rows of wheat and barley, and at the edges of their fields, they plant other grain. They know how to do their work. I'm gonna read that again. They know how to do their work. I mean, they're not half ASS, man. It says they know how to do their work because God has taught them. They never use a heavy club to beat out dill seeds. And that's spiritual because a heavy club is a threshing instrument to break down the ground. Let me see if I can find it. Farmer tool. Yeah, these things. That's what they'll get people in jail. And they'll have them sing damn tunes. I'ma work night and day. And then they'll be like, I will work night and day. And I ain't gonna get paid, and they just in jail with a jumpsuit on, beating the ground, man. I know brothers saw the movie Life. This is hard work. Again, in the spirit, these are our forefathers. They've done way more than us, man. You ain't never had physical chains on your body, seeing your king and his son get his eyes bulged out, and you still have to prophesy in the midst of that, and a famine is going on, and all hell is breaking loose, and dead bodies is in the streets. As they never use a heavy club to beat out deal seeds or coming seeds. Instead, they use light sticks of proper size, meaning they're using wisdom. You got to know how to dig. You got to know how to plant. That's spiritual because it goes into our lives. Stop using a Billy big club to break down something that you can use a light stick for. You got to know what's profitable for you, how to build, how to increase. That brother reading 17 chapters, 7 chapters, 2 chapters, 5 chapters may not be good for you, man. It's overthrowing you. Start out with one. Start out with two, man. 3 fasts a week may not be good for you. Start off with one. Start off with one every 2 weeks. It says they do not ruin the wheat by threshing it endlessly. See, that's spiritual, man. You can ruin the wheat. The wheat is the whole reason why you have planted, right? The seed. You could ruin your family. You could ruin your nation. You could ruin, your husband. You could ruin your wife by threshing it. It's a time to pull. Husbandry is watching. Everything used the perfect time of the increase. It says, and they know how to thresh it by diving a cart over it without bruising the veins. So you have a cartwheel, right? And let me see if I can find that. Right? You got cartwheel. That's not necessarily what I wanted. Let me see. See if I can pull this up. Well, nevertheless, it's close enough right here. A cartwheel. Yeah, it's about as close as we can get. Right? So these farmers, they have these things to a T, how to farm. And not just a bunch of people with no electricity out in an open field riding horses. Right? It says they know how to thresh it by driving a cart over it without bruising the grains. All this wisdom comes from the Lord. So you would have thought just sowing seeds, you just throw them out, man. Like it's just that easy. The ground is already fertile. Doesn't matter the season. You have to get yourself in an ancient agricultural mind as a husbandman. And look at these things spiritual. It's a time to reap. It's a time to plant. It's a time to water. It's a way to break down the ground. It's different instruments to break down the ground. It says all this wisdom because if you're not using this wisdom, you won't get an increase. The same way carnally, if these farmers let their little kids play in the streets, it's like not the streets, the farm and the fields, work's not going to get done. You're going to see the increase of their children following around in the field because you're going to have no crops. The same way you can see a man's building, his spirit, his fruit, by how he tends to the field. It says, Almighty, the plan God makes are wise, and they always succeed. Again, going back to John, linking this up, I'm gonna read 36 again. And he that reapeth receiveth wages and gathereth fruit unto right eternal life. Right? That's us, most high willing. That both he that soweth and he that reapeth may rejoice together. Right? Our fathers in the resurrection. And herein is the true saying. It's like it's saying true. One soweth and another reapeth. I sent you to reap that whereupon ye bestowed no labor. And we didn't bestow no labor, man. I did nothing to come into this truth. There's not one thing I did where the Most High said, okay, well, now is the time to wake up Uriah. Now is the time to bring him to this truth. He has finally done what he needed to do in the carnal flesh for me to recognize him and witness him. I didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. Again, we stumbled in this field in right the 11th hour. That's further proved that in the book of Deuteronomy. Right? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 24. This is Deuteronomy chapter 24. And I'm going to start at verse 19. When thou cuttest down thine harvest in thy field, thou has Salakia, and has forgot a sheaf in the field, thou shalt not go again to fetch it. It shall be, right, for the stranger and the fatherless and the widow, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of thy hands. So even in the field, men are breaking it down and they're getting all these things. You have to leave some for the stranger, the widow, the fatherless. When thou beatest thine olive tree, thou shalt not go over the bulbs again. It shall be for the stranger and the fatherless and for the widow. Who are the stranger? That's the fatherless and the widow when the Spirit's talking about us, man. We're the ones that were strangers, alienated from this truth. We were fatherless because we didn't know the Most High, and we were widows when we didn't have wisdom as our mother. We didn't have the Most High as our husband. We were all out, alienated, lost, Gentiles, and in the 11th hour, we stumbled into this vineyard, man, to get this fruit. I mean, you could break down Pentecost. Pentecost is deep, man. Right? Pentecost 50 is deep, right? It says, when thou gatherest the grapes of the vineyard, thou shalt not glean it afterwards. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And I'm going to link that up with Sirach. All right. Get this quick precept. Get this quick precept in the book of Sirach. This quick precept. Let's go to the mighty book of Sirach. Let's see what I want. Let's go to the mighty book of Sirach, chapter 30. Let's see what I want. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 30 in verse. Salaki, bear with me. I'm going to start at verse 16. It says, I awaked up last of all. The I is talking about you and me, because we woke up last of all, man. Like even Paul said, I was one born out of due time, because he wasn't with the 12, right? He was going off. He was in the world. He was a Pharisee, right? Consenting unto men's death. You understand? Receiving authority of the chief priests. Even Paul woke up last of all, right? How even more us? It says, I waked up last of all as one that gathereth after the great gatherers. So if you gather after the great gatherers, who are the great gatherers, man? The strangers, the fatherless, and the widows. We're gathering after that, as if there's no more fruit left to gather, as if, everything that's been sown by our fathers has been coming to intuition and knowledge for men in the last days to reap the understanding of. That's why you have to really understand we're living in the last days. There's never been a time where a so-called black man has picked up a book and read the whole thing in less than a year and has a very great understanding of it and never been taught. This is the spirit of the Most High. It says, as one that gathereth after the grape gatherers, by the blessing of the Lord I profited. Right? Meaning what? Meaning when you eat of this vineyard, when there's no grapes barely left, it's a blessing that you can even profit by what's left. And filled my wine press like the grape gatherer, so like the gatherer of grapes. How in the world can a man that's waking up last of all, when there's no grapes, fill a wine press? Again, it's going back to the law. Now, this man that is his original fill has already 90%, 95% has gathered all his fruit. So if you're coming into the knowledge after that, after the grape gatherers, but yet you still have a wine press, what does that mean? That's the mercy of the Most High. That's the fruits the Lord purges and gives on a spiritual level, man. That it's not about what you put in. The Lord is just giving it to you, giving you knowledge, giving you wisdom, waking you up. You've been in this truth 2 years, 4 years, 7 years, 6 years, 5 years, and look at you, man. There are scholars and men in Jerusalem from old that don't have as much knowledge as certain men have now on this earth, man. It says, consider that I labor not for myself only. So you have to consider, just like Isaiah did, Daniel, Ezekiel, right? Nahum, Habakkuk, Hosea. They didn't labor for themselves only, but they labor for us to receive this knowledge. That's what it's talking about in John. Going back to John chapter 4 and verse 38, I sent you to reap that what upon you bestow no labor. And nobody, watching this, didn't labor with Ezekiel, man. Ezekiel was, y'all was your own camp. It says, other men labored, and ye are entered into their labors. Again, that's the strangers. That's the fatherless. That's the widows. We're entering into all the things they labor for. They broke up the ground. They put the seeds in. They fertiled the ground. They used the different tools. We're just entering in, last of all, waking up, eating of their fruits. It says, and ye are entered into their labors. And what that is called, it's called mercy. That's literally the definition of mercy, man. We're supposed to be starving. You either got this truth or you don't. You either in the hand of the Lord or you're not. You either in the vineyard, in the courts, whatever you want to call it, or you're without. Right? That's why I started this live off through the spirit, just thanking the Most High. Because we could be anywhere right now, man. But we're in this vineyard, Most High willing, bringing forth fruit. But let me get this closing precept. I'll read this in the NIV. So like it GNT. Let's see what I want. All right, let's go to the mighty book of Revelation 3 in the GNT. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3, and verse right number 1. To the angel of the church in Sardis write, this is the message from the one who has the 7 spirits of Yahweh and the 7 stars. I know what you are doing. And if that don't wake you up or scare you, I don't know what will, man. He knows what you're doing right now, what you're thinking, the spirit you're in. If you truly want salvation and you truly are striving, man, the Lord said the elect, they groan and they cry day and night, man. And that's deep when you think about it. How much are you yearning to get out of these bodies, this flesh, right? In a nation that's over top of us. I know what you are doing. I know, right? You have a reputation of being alive, even though you are dead. You know what this is? This is you putting on a mask. Stop putting on a mask in the spirit, man. Don't mean you have a midlife crisis. You break down and you finally realize you're the wickedest man of the East. That's not what this is talking about. It says, I know that you have a reputation of being alive, even though you are dead. Examine that. Stop hiding behind this mask you got on, man. That's why a lot of brothers fall out and know what happened to him, man. What happened to her? That she was just at the feast day because they had a mask on. It says, So wake up and strengthen what you still have before it dies completely. See that? And you can see fruit when it dies. Let me get this quick imagery. You can see fruit when it's dying. You witness that first little brown spot. Some people they kind of look at the fruit. I don't know if I really want to eat this. You kind of feeling it. It's a little too mushy. It's too. Brothers know what I'm talking about. It's either too firm or it's too soft. It's not that sweet spot. You can kind of tell when a fruit, is going bad. Way before it even gets to this level. Lord says, strengthen it up, right? Before it dies. And you see the first signs of things dying. It says, still have before it dies completely. For I find that what you have done is not yet perfect in the sight of my God. Remember then what you were taught and what ye heard. And that's a thing brothers got to remember, man. Remember what you was taught. Stop being so thirsty and lustful to hear everything under the sun, man. That's going to destroy you. It's secretly turning your spirit and to yearn and to look for not the Lord, but drama, man. The principal things, man. You first came into this truth, you didn't know who camps were. You didn't know they was beefing. You didn't know this elder secretly did this. And all before all of these scandals, you was taught the sincere milk of the word, man. That's what it should boil down to. Get back to that first estate. Go back into student mode. Any great athlete, basketball player, NFL player, they go back to studying and watching tape. Obey it and turn from your sins. If you do not wake up, I will come upon you like a thief, and you will not know what time, right? When I will come. Now, what is that talking about? Let me get one last precept and what this means, right? As we go into Pentecost, what this will mean on a Pentecost type level. Lord, visit you like a thief. All right, let me get this quick precept. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 15 and 13. But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father have not planted shall be rooted out. And nobody knows when you'll be rooted out. The axe is to the thresh, is to the floor, man, like the Lord said. So continue to be rooted, grounded, have integrity, be on fire, be an example, let your light shine. If you have any grudge, spirit, demon, anything on you, fast it off, pray before you enter in between this high holy day. Read Deuteronomy 16, man. There are 3 high holy days the Lord set on a pinnacle, man. Don't let these things through the escaping of the fear of the Lord make you feel like it's not serious. Them that are truly in this truth are going to take the words of the Lord serious. And they're going to be ready to die for it and do everything they can to protect what the Lord has preserved for us to eat to this very day. But with that, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Hashem Mashiach Malak Yahushua. Shalom.